Whew! And that was just game one. This was the only shirt that I had that was like pretty much orange, so, sorry, but, this is the best that I got. Hey, work with what you got, right? Yeet! But what's up, everybody? TN Fanatic here. Hope you all are having a fantastic day, and welcome to another post-game reaction. If this is your first time here, I am a YouTuber who talks about his favorite teams and gives his reactions to all of the games that my favorite teams go through, all the wins and all of the losses. And right now, I am doing my coverage for the Stanley Cup Final. If you want to check out which team I thought was going to win the Stanley Cup and why, I will put that eye up in the corner. But stay right here first, because we got a banger to talk about, baby. In this reaction, I'm going to talk about Game 1 of the Stanley Cup Final 2025. The Edmonton Oilers beat the Florida Panthers in thrilling fashion. They win 4-3 in overtime. Lots to talk about here, so let's go ahead and dive right in. Coming into this game and this series, again, I gave my prediction. I said a lot of stuff. One thing that I did say, one big key for Edmonton in this series, especially with the Panthers, is that they had to establish their game early. They felt it. They felt what Florida did to them, dominating them in games and dominating them for the start of that series. So Edmonton, it had to be a huge priority for them to set their tone and have Florida play their game. Well, how about this? A minute 6 in to this game, Wallman, he takes a shot. Bobrovsky, he makes two great saves, but Leon Draisaitl cleans it up. He scores to give Edmonton the 1-0 lead. Again, a minute 6 in. And for the Oilers, this is nothing new. This is the 9th consecutive game where the Oilers have scored first. For Leon Draisaitl, he is just incredible. I know people, they give Connor McDavid a lot of credit, and rightfully so. But Leon, he is right there with Connor. For Draisaitl, give him his due. He is now on a 7-game point streak. He is on fire, showing no signs of slowing down. I think for Edmonton, for the team and for their fans, I don't think you can ask for a better start than this. A minute 6 in, and you score 1-0 Edmonton. However, I would assume that those fans, those Oilers fans, and literally everyone else, they knew and I knew that a great team like the Panthers, a battle-tested team like the Florida Panthers, they weren't going to be fazed. They weren't going to be rattled with allowing a quick goal like this one right off of the bat. And they've shown that. They've shown that all playoffs long. Like I remember in the Game 7 with the Leafs and the Panthers, I remember it was 0-0 at the end of one. And I was like, Toronto, they still have a shot. But then in that second period, and then on, Florida, they just took it to them. They fired so many shots, and they scored a lot of goals. And then I also think back to the Canes series in that Game 5, where Aho, he gave Carolina a 2-0 lead. But then, I don't know what happened after that. Carolina, they just collapsed Florida. They took it to them. They scored a bunch of goals in that one to clinch that series. So, yes, even though Edmonton, they got off to this great start, there was still a lot of hockey to be played. And I think that it was pretty clear that when this was made official, right, when the Panthers and the Oilers, when it was found out that, that was going to be the Stanley Cup Final for the second year in a row, I think we all knew that this was going to be not only a great series, but a physical series. I mean, you got two teams here with two different stories. The Panthers want to start a dynasty. The Oilers looking for redemption. These two teams know each other. They battled for the Stanley Cup last year. So, with that being said, Clearly, as we saw in this game, there was a lot of physicality and there were a lot of penalties called. 7 minutes into the first, Panthers have 6 hits, the Oilers have 4. It was still a 1-goal game. However, this is what this is what they had to avoid. Again, I talked about teams like the Leafs and the Canes just letting Florida just hang around. Not putting the dagger in there. For Edmonton, it cost them. 10:49 into the first to Chuck. He comes around the boards. He finds Verhaeghe. He shoots. It deflects off of a falling Sam Bennett, and it goes in. Now, there was some controversy surrounding this goal. Here's what I will say, and I looked at everything. From my point of view, looking at the replay, all of the replays, Kulak, he does get a trip on Sam Bennett. For me, I think it was just incidental contact. Obviously, Kulak, I don't think he was even focused on Bennett in that moment. I think it was just it's just one of those things where just Bennett hits his skate and he falls down. What can you do about that? What I will say is that Bennett, I think he might have been a little overzealous there, just a tad. He just felt like a sack of beans, and he was just playing it up just a tad little bit. But still, it's just one of those moments where it's what can you do? Well, for Chris Knobloch, he challenged this call. He challenged this goal by Florida. It does not go his way. So now not only does the Bennett goal stand, but now the Oilers are going on the penalty kill. And this was another key for Edmonton I feel like they had to avoid. They could not get into penalty trouble. The Oilers, heading into this series, had just a 66% success rate on the penalty kill. My dad and I were talking about this, and my dad chimed in. He was like, oh yeah, that's good. That's pretty good. That's 2 out of 3. But there's still that out of 3. There's still that other little instance where a power play goal could be scored against you. And it happens again here. 12:30, Schmidt from the blue line. He finds Marchand. All alone. Can't do that. Brad cashes in, and now the Panthers take the lead. For Brad Marchand, this was a historic goal for him. This was his 8th goal he has scored in a Stanley Cup final. Good for him. Bruins fans, I wouldn't blame y'all at all if you just looked away from your TV. I get it. I have been there. So Panthers take the lead, and I saw this one fan on Instagram. I just want to say this. He posted that clip of Sam Bennett falling, and he was like, this no call cost Edmonton 2 goals. Yeah, he's not wrong. And guess what? The penalty madness, it did not stop. Right after the goal by Marchand, Lundell gets penalized for interference on McDavid. So the Oilers have a power play, but that would last just 6 seconds as Corey Perry was called for his 2nd penalty of the game, tripping Reinhart. So now it is a 4-on-4. But that doesn't last very long either, because at 13:04, Ekblad gets called for a hold, which, that was putting it lightly. He bear-hugged Draisaitl. So 3 penalties were called in the span of just 24 seconds. Unbelievable! And I have to be honest, I was a little shocked because, with all this open ice now that both teams can work with, and the fact that Connor McDavid's out there, Draisaitl, Tkachuk, all of these guys, no one could score. So we go to the second period, and again, let these Panthers hang around. They will make you pay, and eventually they will start to rack up even more goals. 2 minutes in, Schmidt, he is skating down. He passes to Bennett, which, okay, I don't even know how this got to Sam Bennett. I don't know how. Because there were 3 Oilers players surrounding Schmidt. And he got a clean pass to Sam Bennett. So Sam scores his 2nd of the game. And I was just sitting there. I was going, okay, here it is. It's starting. The Panthers, we've seen this story before. We've seen this a ton of times where you think, right? You think that it's going to be a close game. But then, as the game progresses, Florida, they just find their footing and they just continue to score without the opponent responding in any way. Well, how about this response from the Oilers? A minute 17 after Bennett's second goal, the Oilers, they score, and it's Victor Arvidsson, baby, the former Brett, my former boy. He just took this puck and he fired it past Bobrovsky in, baby. The Oilers are back within one. And for Bobrovsky, this was a goal that I thought, Bob, this is a shot that I assume he was just easily going to stop. But, if I look back, looking back again to that Canes game, Game 5, Aho, he scored a similar goal to the one that Arvy scored here. But I'll give credit again to my former boy from Smashville and also Podkolson for a very good screen that he set up. Here's what I will say about this second period. And yes, while Edmonton scored, and that's great, I felt like the Panthers, they were controlling this game. I felt like the tide was starting to turn in their favor. About midway through, the Panthers had 5 scoring chances. The Oilers only had 1. That, of course, was the chance by Arvy that went in. Florida outshot Edmonton 17-8 in the second period, but it was still a 1-goal game, and we got to give credit to Stuart Skinner for just being automatic, being locked in. After that third goal, he was just on point. And also Bobrovsky, too. Both goalies were just on fire, and every 30 seconds, it felt like me and my dad, there were moments when it was either Bobrovsky or Stewart, they would make a save, and then we would be like, oh my gosh, this was an entertaining game, no doubt about it. So, we go to the third period, and for the Florida Panthers, here's what I will say, looking at what happened in this third period and on, and the 2 goals that they conceded, is that they were very uncharacteristic goals that Florida allows there. Based on the fundamentals that Paul Maurice, based on what he has drilled into his team, these next goals that Florida allowed, very uncharacteristic. Exhibit A in these playoffs. The Panthers and their defense have been very good and very clean through the neutral zone. Not here. Not here. 6:33, Connor McDavid. That speedy dude. He is so fast. He rounds the net. He tries to tuck it in. It can't go. But Matthias Ekholm, he cleans it up. He scores, and now the game is tied. So, that's Arvy and Ekholm. 2 former Preds have now scored in the Stanley Cup final. So, yeah, you're welcome, Oilers. But, hey, I will give credits, we have to the scoring depth of the Edmonton Oilers. It has been great. And you know what? I think it's even more impressive that it was Ekholm that got this goal, because he hasn't even played with the Oilers pretty much at all during the postseason. He made his return in Game 5 of the Dallas series. And so this was his second playoff game this year, and he scores. Good for Ekholm. For this third period, this was definitely a much better period for Edmonton. Not only did they score, but the shots they got on goal were also just a lot better. I mentioned in the second period that Florida, they outshot Edmonton 17-8. In this third period, the Oilers outshot the Panthers 14-2. Yeah, they were just taking it to them. The Oilers were smelling blood in the water, but Bobrovsky, he was continuing to just stay focused and stay locked in. So, with that being said, Game 1 goes to overtime. Both of these teams, they had their fair amount of chances in overtime. But, as AJR says, should we skip to the good part? Da, 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 da. Okay, all right, sorry. That's the last time that I'm going to do that. Sorry you had to hear that. But, let's talk about the ending to this overtime. 18-17. Thomas Nosek takes a bad penalty here. He's called for a delay of game. He sends the puck out. And what's even worse is that Wallman, he's right in front of him just, he is just laughing his tail off. Because what happens after? cost Florida this game. So, as overtime is again about to expire, I was getting ready to just take another chill break and wait another 20 minutes for the second overtime. Because I thought, nah, like, is this really going to happen? Is it? Oh, yes, it is. So McDavid, he comes into the zone. He and his boys, they spread that puck around beautifully. Connor, he has it right in front of Bobrovsky. Connor, maybe he could have got some on that. Maybe he could have scored, but he chooses to pass to guess who? A wide open Leon Draisaitl, who scores the game winner. Oilers take game one. Good for them, good for their team, good for their fans. Great moment. And for Leon Draisaitl, like, good for him as well. He was held scoreless in last year's Cup final against Florida. And here in game one, he turns it around. He scores 2 goals, including the game winner. And here's Exhibit B on this Panthers team and these last few goals that they allowed and how they were uncharacteristic for Florida in their penalty kill, right? Their penalty kill, like, I think it's one of the most feared in the entire league. It was the most feared. In this game, when they were on the penalty kill, there was a point where the Oilers were like 0-3 on the power play. So Florida, they were still doing their job in some aspects, but it wasn't as aggressive. Like, I was just sitting there to myself, like, where are more clears? Where are the shorthanded chances? Where are the shorthanded goals? It seemed like to me the Panthers were just sitting back and just hoping that hoping that he would make a save and then just bail them out. Look, Bobrovsky is a great goal. He's fully capable of doing that. But even he is not going to stop a wide open Draisaitl. But again, good for the Oilers. Good for them. They are one step closer to winning that glorious trophy, the Stanley Cup. Game 2 should be another just amazing game. It'll be an electric atmosphere for sure. And I am curious how Paul Maurice, because now he has a challenge in front of him. Now, I want to see how he's going to address these issues that the Panthers had down the stretch of this game right here in terms of their neutral zone and also on the penalty kill. And for Edmonton, again, like, good for y'all. We'll see what happens in game 2. Hopefully Edmonton, they bring, like they continue to bring that fight because, look, no matter what the result is, there's no way that Florida is going down 0-2 without a fight. But fans, that's going to do it for this post-game reaction. Thank you all so much for watching. If you all enjoyed this video, hit that subscribe button, hit that bell, and you can join our Fanatic Army. And a hearty salutes to all of you as always, and I hope that all of you have a fantastic day. Yeet!